Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Dread here. How are you all doing today? We're going to be playing American Truck Simulator, jumping into the open road, discussing a wide variety of topics today. We'll talk a little bit about Olympics. We'll talk about some basketball stuff as well. We're going to be just kind of driving the truck around, so hop in. I'm taking you on a road trip, I guess you could say. Thank you for all of you that are tuning in today. I hope you're all doing well. My week has been pretty good. Pretty good. I can't necessarily complain. It's been a little bit tiring. There's been a lot of stuff going on. But you kind of always just kind of push forward. Where's this stupid truck thing? Okay. So, I don't know how many people of you know at this point. Let's see, am I dismantled from that? Okay, good. The Olympics have started, right? And anybody that knows me personally as a sports fan knows that when it comes to summer months, as an NBA fan of basketball, it is one of those situations where you're kind of longing for some type of sporting event to happen. So the fact that the Summer Olympics is actually finally here makes me incredibly happy, because as a dude, I know, right, stereotypical dude, having sports on television for the summer, even if it's just for 2 weeks, is kind of good. You know, so when it comes to, like, the Olympics, my two really favorite sports in particular, obviously, it's going to be Olympic basketball, as well as... Gotta be careful here because I don't want to crash the truck, so hold that thought for a second, because we have to make this delivery here. Keep your eye out for a gas station too, because I'm gonna need a gas station to be able to actually refill the car here, the truck that we're using. But yeah, so the sports I like: basketball, swimming. I do enjoy every so often too. I do enjoy not so much gymnastics, but I do enjoy beach volleyball. I'm not really a big fan of gymnastic sports, just because, I don't know, for me personally, I feel like it's one of those things, sports, that you have to be maybe of the opposite gender to kind of appreciate it, because there's obviously a bigger focus on women's gymnastics, and obviously men's gymnastics is not the major draw. And I don't know, something about women's gymnastics and male's gymnastics is just not my cup of tea, you know. I like tea, some people like coffee, I like coffee too. It's just one of those really weird things where I just can't get into sport, right? So, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to Olympic basketball, but I think one of the biggest issues when it comes to Olympic basketball, in particular, or Team USA, obviously I live in the United States, is the fact that people are already automatically screaming that, like, the United States team is going to win this, and it's going to be clutch, and it's going to be easy pickings. That's actually not the case. Anybody who's like a truly basketball fan in terms of just worldwide basketball will kind of understand the concept of the fact that Eastern European countries are coming on the way up when it comes to basketball, right? So, like, in particular, if you notice, who are the people that are recently being drafted in the NBA? There's been a lot of French players. We had 2 years ago at this point, Victor Wembanyama was drafted to the San Antonio Spurs. If you pay attention to this, which way am I going? Let me actually stop, because that car is going to kind of mess me up. Who is it? Victor Wembanyama was drafted last year. This year, the #1 draft pick was from France again. This year, a NER. Wow, they're really trying to get me to crash the car here, right? A NER issue, particularly, or not issue, but a NER person was drafted. It was also from France. A lot of Eastern European countries. When you look at some of the players that have been drafted in previous years, even going way beyond these last 2 years, look at Jokic. He was from, if I remember correctly, Serbia. So he was Serbian, from the Serbian team. And then when you look at Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks, he was drafted as well. You know what? And when it comes to, like, Eastern European basketball and worldwide basketball, there's more foundation on not so much dunking and layups as it is perimeter shooting. Perimeter shooting, for maybe those of you who are not very basketball inclined, is free-point shooting, right? So when you look at the current Olympic U.S. team, just in, like, the exhibition matches that happened previously, right? A lot of the matches were carried by LeBron James. Now, I'm not knocking LeBron James. You know, obviously he's a little bit up there in age. I'm not a big fan of how he carries himself, sometimes a little bit arrogant. But you can't deny that he is a pretty good player that's kept himself in very good condition. You know, body-wise, he spends millions of dollars on his body to keep himself in shape. And for the most part, it looks like it. And compared to our 40-year-old basketball players, he's in much better conditioning than them. So, you know, I'll give him props for that. You know, I don't think he's as great as Kobe Bryant. You know, Kobe Bryant, what, had 5 championships to my recollection? And if you look at somebody like, you know, obviously Michael Jordan, the GOAT in many people's opinions, 6 championships, like LeBron doesn't really have that resume. He kind of chases accolades, and he didn't really chase NBA rings, and that's not anything I suppose necessarily wrong with him, but, like, you know, he was more interested in the accolades and the praise and trying to break records as he was trying to, like, stick with teams and staying loyal, from my point of view. But getting back to the point that I was trying to make with the Olympic basketball, they're kind of expecting LeBron James at this point, and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, people are getting up there in age to carry this team. When in reality, you should have people like Joel Embiid, whose health is kind of questionable because, you know what, he's not necessarily the most sturdiest of basketball players because he tends to get a lot of knee injuries. And you're relying on Anthony Edwards, who has kind of been, anybody who paid attention to the Western Conference Finals, was a bit inconsistent. He kind of buckled under the pressure against the Dallas Mavericks after calling Kyrie Irving out. And, you know, these things kind of matter in the grand scope of things, right? So, you know, it's raised concern for me. And Anthony Edwards didn't necessarily have amazing outing in the exhibition games. And then you look at people like Jason Tatum, who did phenomenal in the NBA Finals. Shout out to the Boston Celtics. People who are friends of mine and people, you know that I'm from New York will probably get mad at the fact that I kind of gave the Boston Celtics their prop, but they were a phenomenally good team. Might have been different if they played against the New York Knicks, though. I think a healthy New York Knicks would have given them a run for their money. I don't know if the Knicks would have won the series, but I think it would have gone to, at the very least, from my POV, maybe a Game 6 or Game 7. If the Knicks were healthy, unfortunately that didn't happen. The Indiana Pacers went through, right? But yeah, so like when you look at Jason Tatum, he hasn't been phenomenal in exhibition matches. You look at Anthony Edwards, not phenomenal. Joel Embiid's health is questionable. You look at the other options on the team, some of them have been quite silent as of late, and you're kind of expecting LeBron to carry the team. So I don't think it's going to be as easy for them to win a gold medal as everybody else is like clamoring and stuff. I think they could be upset by an Eastern European team. When you look at even like the exhibition games, when they played against South Sudan in particular, which is not a team that's known at all for having a really good basketball team type of foundation, or you look at Germany, I'm not saying Germany's a bad team, but like Germany's not necessarily known to dominate in the world view when it comes to basketball, because there is the WBA, World Basketball Association. People don't realize that. I'm thinking of whether I want to go get the gas here and veer off to the side, or if we should just kind of keep driving. I think we should probably get some gas. We're gonna make this turn and get some gas, guys, because I feel like we should have a full tank of gas here. Unless there's a one-way street. If it is, like, oh boy, will that be sad for us. I hope it's not a one-way street. This looks like a two-way street, right? Alright. I didn't cause that accident. What are you talking about? We just lost some money. You know what they say, if you don't have money, you don't have a honey. Alright, so we're gonna park here. Alright. Can I... Alright, let's stop the engine. Let's fill up the gas. So, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be... I think a European country can upset them. Now, speaking of basketball, how many of you have been following what's going on with the NBA's television distribution rights? If you don't know what's going on... I hope we didn't crash into something there. And I hope that was just us paying for the gas. If you don't know what's been going on with the NBA, recently TNT's television distribution rights were about to expire for basketball. So TNT actually was in the negotiation process to try to get their rights back. And what ended up happening, believe it or not, is they lost their television distribution rights to NBC, who a very, very, very long time ago, we're talking like early 90s, like 88, 87 type of time era, when Michael Jordan was ruling the world. That is when NBC had basketball, and they lost those rights to TNT. So now they made a deal, and they got back the basketball rights, which left TNT in a very precarious, I suppose, situation, right? Because the other basketball rights that were available for distribution let's put on the left blinker so I don't do this incorrectly, is ESPN, who has, I got a red light violation there. I thought we could just turn there. I don't actually drive in real life, so this is going to be an unmitigated disaster, perhaps. But, getting back to the point, like, the other two companies that were negotiating for rights was ESPN, which secured their deal a while back, which does basketball on Wednesdays and Fridays, and TNT used to do their basketball on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as the All-Star Game, and then I think it was TNT did the Western Conference. They lost all that to NBC, while ESPN does the Eastern Conference Finals, as well as, this is a weird turn that I'm going to have to make here. I'm actually a little bit scared that I'm not going to crash the car trying to pull this one off. I gotta turn here, guys. Can I turn? They didn't even give me a chance to make this turn. This is just a weird turn. Where am I going? Am I going into here to be able to? Why would my GPS tell me to go this way? That just scared the bejesus out of me that we're going to crash in it. So, yeah, so ESPN has the rights. TNT lost theirs to NBC. So there was one rights that was available, which was a deal that went to Amazon, right? So Amazon was going to have, I'm assuming, what is going to be the junk games, the games that are not from very high basketball markets. By high basketball markets, I mean games that aren't from New York City teams, California teams, Miami team, Boston. Like, if it's not a major basketball team in a major city, those aren't considered, like, major television rights, right? So Amazon had made an agreement with the NBA that they were going to stream what are considered the junk games, the low market games, on their streaming service. So recently what ended up happening was Warner Brothers Distribution, the parent company of TNT, tried to make a bid to basically match the offer of Amazon. And today in particular, when I am actually recording this, guys, NBA put out a press statement that said that they would not be doing business with Warner Brothers Distribution, even though they matched the offer, that they are committed to their partnership that they have now made an agreement with on Amazon. Now, this is very sad for Inside the NBA because it's been on for years and it's considered one of the best pre-shows and post-shows in the NBA. So not having Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal having the post-games and stuff, that's like a big hit. On top of that, a lot of people, myself included, really enjoy the NBA commentary team, that being Reggie Miller in particular, Kevin Harlan, Stan Van Gundy in particular, I think does a pretty good job on commentary. Like, those guys really are like household names for anybody that's truly basketball. So it sucks that they're not going to particularly have a job unless NBC decides that they're going to swoop in and give them things. I think Reggie Miller's got a very high chance. And Kevin Harlan, definitely. But everybody else that's from the TNT broadcast team, like people that were just recently coming up in the world in that company, like, it sucks for them because they're not going to be able to get. Like Chris Webber, I think it's one of the people who's there and does I don't know if NBC is going to carry him over in particular. Like, there's a lot of people that were just getting their starts there on TNT, Jamal Crawford in particular. So it sucks for them. It also sucks for the Tuesday Inside NBA crew, even though Candace Parker already had left because she's going to be like the president of operations for Adidas, I think for women, if I remember correctly, or just in general. So she knew when with the writing on the wall to get out. But then you have, you know, the Tuesday crew that was just really starting to kind of establish themselves, and they're out of jobs now too. You know, so there's a reason why the NBA wasn't going to go against or let Warner Brothers match the offer. A lot of people don't know this, so I'm going to give you a little bit of television experience here. If NBA already, with them going in their pre-existing agreement that they were starting to develop with Amazon, were to kind of back out of it because Warner Brothers Discovery /TNT decided to match the offer, they would be in a legality trouble because most likely at this point there is some type of contract that has been signed with Amazon behind closed doors, or there is at least some type of verbal agreement which allowed Amazon to kind of clear space on their, you know, their platform to be able to make room for these NBA games, right? They probably cut some productions to be able to make room for it, like certain shows got canceled on the Amazon Video platform, certain shows probably didn't get green-lighted for a new season to be filmed yet because of this NBA deal that Amazon had made. So if they were to give it to TNT after just matching the offer, they could get into a lot of legality issues where Amazon would be in the right to sue not Warner Brothers in particular, but sue the NBA. Or if they wanted to, even counter-sue Warner Brothers Discovery for tampering with it. So it's not that easy of a deal, right? So NBA is not going to go against it. On top of that, when you rethink about it, and it sucks because I'm a person that watches my sports on television and loves watching sports on television, although fucking cable TV, obviously, now has gotten to the point where a lot of people have been cutting the cords. The real reason why the NBA didn't want to give TNT the deal is that they're trying to appeal to a younger demographic, right? A younger market. Now, if you think about this logistically, where do Zoomers, and this is not me being offensive to just the terminology that we use to describe people. You know, I'm a millennial. People describe me as a millennial. I don't really get the reason to classify people in age brackets. You know, it's whatever to me, personally. I mean, you're a human being. I'm going to treat you from whatever human being, like a human being. I don't need to put you in some type of bracket or category. That's just not how I roll. But getting back to it from the official terminology, Zoomers in particular don't have cable television. In fact, most Zoomers don't watch television. There is market data that just shows most Zoomers watch their media on streaming services. They either have Netflix or Peacock, or they have Amazon Video, and they watch stuff that way. So, if you are the NBA, which has been struggling lately, and it's true, it's been struggling on TNT as well as ESPN to retain viewership. Why? Because older people don't like the commentary teams, particularly. I felt ESPN was the problem, and not so much TNT. But, like, when you look at those things, like, with the commentary teams, like, older people have started to tune out because they feel like basketball, team-wise and just dynamic-wise and just player-wise, aren't interesting. I'm a basketball loyalist, so even when the seasons are bad, and I'm not going to say, like, the last two seasons weren't great because, what? This season ended in basically a sweep, right? It was like a gentleman's sweep. So, you know what? The Celtics won in 5 games. The previous season before that, what was it? It was a sweep, right? It was the Nuggets swept the Miami Heat. It wasn't even close, if I remember correctly. Like, the last time we've had a competitive basketball season was Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Everything else has been really throwaway games, right? Like, or correction, I think Celtics versus Golden State went to 6 games. Correction. So that was, like, the last time. So, like, you have 2 years of, like, NBA being sweeps and people, like, not tuning in because, like, the finals weren't exciting, or it was kind of predetermined the result of what was going to happen, or, like, the playoffs weren't exciting because, like, when a high market teams, like, I'm talking New York, LA teams, California teams, you know, Celtics, Heat, aren't in the playoffs, where a lot of these teams didn't make the playoffs or they just got spanked out and they weren't in competitive series, that kind of, for older people who watch basketball, isn't fun to watch. And, like, if you pay attention to stats and analytics, I could have told you that the Celtics, in fact, I did actually tell everybody that the Celtics were going to win the NBA Finals and it wasn't going to even be a big challenge unless, like, the Denver Nuggets made it to the Western Conference Finals. That was the only way they were going to get challenged. I was right. I don't like to be right on those situations and those topics, but I was, right? But, like, getting back to it, older players are tuning out, so you're trying to figure it out in your head if you're a television executive, or if you're an executive from the NBA, how are we going to be able to connect with these new players? We need, or not new players, excuse me, new viewers. In order to connect with the new viewers, you need to go to a streaming platform that Zoomers are on, right? So what's your best option? Netflix, which already spent a lot of money to get the WWE deal, which is the same reason they're trying to get new people into wrestling that are Zoomers that don't watch television into wrestling. They have to do it through streaming services, right? So, like, when you're looking, what are you going to do on Peacock? Peacock already has, probably going to have NBA games on it because, obviously, NBC's got the deal. So, the only other way to, like, really get it further out there to Zoomers would be to have it on Amazon, because most Zoomers maybe have a Amazon Prime subscription, right? And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, that means you probably have Amazon Video to some certain degree, so you'll be able to watch these basketball games, right? So that's kind of their hope with it, right? And they're not the only ones that have done that in terms of, like, sports companies, right? Sports leagues. Like, look at the NFL. The NFL streams some NFL games on Twitch, where they have actual high prominent flesh tubers, you know, actual IRL streamers, on their platform with certain games that they stream. They were streaming like the NFL playoff certain games from it. The reason why the NFL did this was to try to connect to the younger audiences, because they know younger audiences stream on Twitch, or they watch particularly on Twitch and YouTube. That's how they consume their media, or through streaming services. So the NFL was smart, because the NFL's like, Twitch, people who watch Twitch start at like the age of 13, and even though chibis aren't supposed to be on these companies, like on these sites, they still watch too. So it's a great way to market and get like young people into the NFL. So they were smart. They made a deal with Twitch. I was surprised the NBA didn't try to make a deal with Twitch, probably because of the already existing NFL agreement, but I think that's what would have made a whole bunch of sense. Like, get some prominent streamers to stream NBA games. Like, I would be honest with you, as a VTuber, like, if the NBA ever came to me and was like, hey, we want to appeal to a younger demographic, we want the VTuber demographic, how we get these people who watch VTubers into the NBA, and you came to me and were like, hey, would you do this? Fuck yeah, I'd do that. Hell yeah, I would do that. Hell yeah, I enjoy basketball. That'd be great. I mean, I kind of already wanted to kind of do some, you know, NBA watch-alongs, but obviously I can't stream NBA games because I would be in super trouble. Like, you'd have to stream and then queue it up on your end. I'd be down for that, right? So, like, I'm kind of surprised that the NBA didn't try to do, you know, kind of target the NFL, the market on Twitch and YouTube in regards to that, right? Because, like, let's bring HoloLive into the topic, right? Because we know I do talk about HoloLive from time to time here, because they are smart. As a company, they are one of the smartest companies when it comes to VTubers. I will say this to the day I die. I put them over, but I put them over for good reason. A couple weeks back, they had a HoloLive Major League Baseball event, where HoloLive appeared. I think it was Gura, basically, and I think one other person or two other people at the not the basketball game, excuse me, at the baseball game. They were at the Dodger Stadium. At the excuse me, I keep tripping on my own words there, baseball games. So, with the baseball, they were actually singing, I think Gura was saying, take me out to the ball game, and a lot of, like, boomers in particular got upset over it, because, like, this fucking weeb culture here and everything. I think it's fine. You know what, the whole point of the Dodgers and Major League Baseball having HoloLive there with Gura singing take me out to the ball game was to get people who are Zoomers interested in baseball, right? So if you're a young person, maybe you were kind of interested in baseball, maybe you just wanted to go for HoloLive being at the sporting event, you went, you paid tickets, you went for maybe the baseball cards that they gave because you wanted to collect your HoloLive merchandise. And the point of it was to get young people into the stadiums, because in the hope of maybe they would get interested in the sport of baseball, and maybe they would want to come back for baseball games. So that is why they actually, HoloLive did that, and why the Major League Baseball signed off on it. They wanted to appeal to younger Zoomer market. It makes a whole bunch of sense, guys. People don't realize it. You know what? But some of these companies are smart. So I'm very surprised that the NBA, I think this is our turn if I remember correctly, didn't try to do that by targeting Twitch, right? They didn't target Twitch, which is surprising. They didn't target, like, YouTubers or anything. Maybe in the future. But I think that's kind of why the Amazon deal basically happened. It's for appealing to the younger generations of Zoomers who don't have cable television. And on top of that, when you think about it, too, it's kind of smart, even if those are throwaway games, because there's going to be a part of the NFL season that overlaps with the basketball season. So, like, if there's an NBA game that's on Amazon that just happens to be running around the same time, I think this is where my turn is, if I'm correct here. Yeah, inside here. You know what? There's the hopes that maybe if you watched the football game, if there's a basketball game on, maybe there's going to be some type of carryover where you'll be interested in watching then, like, the basketball game. Or let's say there's an early basketball game and there's a primetime football game on Amazon in particular. It depends what day they're actually going to schedule things, because I don't know. I'm assuming maybe the throwaway games are the ones from NBA on TV. So I'm curious what's going to happen with NBA on TV in terms of their broadcasting rights in 2016. But that's kind of basically what they're doing, right? In those retrospects. So it's an interesting time. It's a shame that TNT is going to lose their basketball rights, right? It's a shame. It's part of business. It's television, guys, right? So television will always kind of do that type of stuff where, you know, it happens. It happens. It happens. You know, it's unfortunate for those people who are going to lose their jobs, both on, like, the broadcast side, as well as just, like, when you think of it, let's take a shorter trip. I think a 3-hour drive is probably better, because I'm not going to be able to do an 8-hour drive on stream. That's just, it's not an actual 8 hours, I know, because some people might get confused and then think, like, an actual 8-hour straight. Like, we've been going for 26 minutes right now, because, fun fact, I forgot to hit record before. Which was very, very dumb on my part, right? I did not big brain there. My apologies. But, yeah. You know, so it's unfortunate that they lose. I never advocate particularly for people losing their jobs, because I feel like... Where's the thing that I'm picking up? It's in this depot somewhere. We gotta keep an eye out for it. You're my co-pilots here, so you gotta help me figure out where is our trailer. Do we take the job? I don't see any trailers here, do you? Did we not take the gig? I don't think we took the gig here. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I didn't take the gig. Alright, that's fine. We won't crash the car. That's a plus side, right? Maybe we'll take a gig here, right? Unless it expired. That would kind of be unfortunate, right? But yeah, so, you know, it's unfortunate. I don't advocate for people losing their jobs, because it sucks when people lose their jobs. I'm not for that. I don't like that. It's unfortunate. It makes me sad that people lose. Because the thing about it is, yeah, like, people who are broadcast analysts and stuff, there's a high probability. Is there no gigs here? Okay, so the one I wanted to take apparently disappeared. There's this one. Pending delivery. Alright, I have a pending delivery apparently. Where is the cargo? Oh, there's the cargo. Maybe I'm just bad at this game, confirmed. But yeah, you know, like, it sucks, because, like, people are like, oh, well, the analysts will get in their job. But yeah, the analysts definitely will get in their job. But the thing about it is, there's people who are camera guys, right? Or let's say you've been, like, an associate producer or executive producer, right? And you've worked, like, for TNT in particular all your life, right? It's hard to get another job, guys. Like, it's not easy to get another job in the television film industry, especially, like, after you've done it well. And particularly for, like, big things like sports type of stuff. There's not that many people. Let me give you, like, an example. Anybody here familiar? And he's not a favorite of mine at all, because I've never enjoyed his takes in particular. But is anybody familiar with Skip Bayless? Skip Bayless, for people who might not know, just for context, was a person who used to work on a television show that was sports morning debate show by the name of First Take. You might be familiar with Stephen A. Smith, right? Who still does that show, right? So Skip Bayless was actually the first person that did that show with him. He was like the person who debated against him most of the time, right? And he did that show for a while, and then he left because, you know what, Bayless and apparently Stephen A's, like, how do I put it, personalities kind of clashed. And then Skip Bayless left to do a show called Undisputed with Shannon Sharpe. So, it got to the point recently, about a year ago, where Skip Bayless decided, not Skip Bayless in particular, but Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless had a bit of a falling out. And Shannon Sharpe announced that he would be living Undisputed. When you fast forward a little bit afterwards, when his contract was officially over, he signed with First Take to be an analyst and a person that would talk and debate on the show 2 times a week, Mondays and Tuesdays, with, you guessed it, Stephen A. Smith, who used to work with Skip Bayless on First Take. So it was kind of funny, right? So the news came out recently where Skip Bayless is leaving his... Was this not a turn? It looked like a turn to me. Okay. We're really bad at driving a truck, confirmed. But the thing is, with Skip Bayless, he announced recently that he would not be doing Undisputed anymore. He's leaving the show after, I forgot how many years it is. I think it might be 8 years at this point. And he's leaving the show. So, just kind of to put in perspective for you, because he's kind of ruffled a lot of people's feathers the wrong way. He's just kind of very brash personality. And, you know, when you have a very brash personality, that's just not... People don't really want to work with you, right? That's just kind of how it is, right? So, ESPN, of all things, put out a statement that they had no interest in signing Skip Bayless at this time, and we're not going to be pursuing him, which I was like, wow, that's a pretty hardcore move of actual network to do, because when they're like, yeah, we're not hiring him, and they come out really fast to like dispel rumors of how people thought they should hire him and be a dynamic, it makes sense too. When you look at the clip of how Shannon Sharp left that show and what Skip Bayless said and like the disrespect, it kind of makes sense they wouldn't be. But the point that I'm trying to make is it's not very easy in television to get another job, whether you're an analyst, especially if you're like a camera guy or you work behind the scenes. It's hard. Once you lose your job for a lot of years in such a competitive market, it's difficult, right? So I feel for the camera guys, the production assistants, the associate producers, the producers who've worked there, a producer who just recently started at TNT that left for, who was it, Underdog, I think was left, and he took over for Underdog. Like, it hurts. You know, if you just left your job that you had somewhere else to join TNT and then you find, it's not easy. So that's why I'm always saying it hurts. That's why I think we talked so much about it. Like, television industry, it's cutthroat, guys. It is. You know what? You're here today and then you're gone tomorrow, and I don't know, some of the stuff that's been happening on ESPN is kind of interesting, because like, just kind of bringing it full circle to, I guess we're like driving trucks and talking sports today. Well, my male demographic will love this topic. Pat McAfee in particular is signing with Game Day, right? He's going to be coming back to Game Day, which is the morning show that does college football, which, you know, college football has been trying to get a bigger stranglehold on the market, right? They're trying to like make it hip and cool so young people watch it. It always goes back to, here's the thing. I'm just going to give you some insight, right? So, whether you're doing something streaming-wise, whether you're doing something television-wise, whether you're doing something movie-wise, the demographic that you're always trying to appeal to, in particular, is the 18 to 34 demographic. Most studios, and I hate to say it because they know that the 18 to 34 male demographic likes sports and stuff, targets those people, right? So Pat McAfee obviously is a person who does very well with the 18 to 34 demographic in particular. Why? Because he's very, what's the best word to use here? He is a very unrestricted, unfiltered type of person. He says what he says what's on his mind. He says it in the manner that he likes to say it, and if it's, people got a problem with it, too effing bad, right? That's his personality, right? To a certain extent, maybe I'm a little bit like that, but not to the degree that he goes into. So he signed with Game Day again, right? And a clip made it to the internet recently where he started talking about how, you know what, there's a point where he didn't want to come back to it maybe because there was all these people talking on the internet and being mean to him and hating his coverage of it. And then he kind of involved, like, the contract talk side of things, right? So he started talking about the contract negotiation part and how the lawyers and you know what, and he wasn't having it and all this other stuff, right? And like when I looked at it, like people were upset, and then people were like, "Oh, well, shut up, you know, millennials, boomers, and everything of the sort. You're just too soft." And he's like hardcore. I don't think so, right? Like I don't think so, because like, here's the thing. I, as somebody that creates content on the internet, I get haters all the time, right? I get people who troll, I get people who, like, break rules in chat, I'll get people who hit me up or, like, subtweet me on Twitter. I'll be honest with you. The number one rule of doing anything on the internet or having any sort of presence in media spotlight whatsoever, no matter how big you are, no matter how small, you don't give a fuck what people say on the internet about you. It's the internet. People are going to be mean to you. You're not going to get people to like you on the internet. Not 100% of people on the internet. It will never happen. People will be mean to you just because they can be mean to you on the internet. That's unfortunately the age we live in. So, like, a long time ago, I learned, obviously, I did journalism for a very long time, and I had my fair share of people who would stalk me, my fair share of haters and stuff. And, like, in the beginning, I kind of used to care what people said about me on social media, and then I got to a point where I got older, I became more mature, I listened to good advice from people who were, like, you know, colleagues of mine and stuff, and I learned to not give a fuck. Like, if you don't like me or you say something mean about me, okay, cool, that's your prerogative, that's your opinion. I'm not going to lose sleep overnight over it. No, because, you know, it's like the opinion of one person, it's whatever. So, like, when I see, you know, Pat talking about it, like, it's just kind of funny because it's like people are saying people are soft, like, complaining about it. Honestly, I'll just give you a kind of a tip here, right? I would say The only reason Pat even talked about it was because he wanted people to get upset on the internet, to retweet the clip, and then to just kind of talk about it and give it like free promotional stuff. Here's the thing, right? When it comes to television in particular, and I think some people on the internet are starting to kind of learn this, which is why they do it. I'm not a big fan of doing this, but this is kind of just a business thing. Controversy creates cash, right? Oh, I didn't have my headlights on apparently there. Are they on now? I can't tell if they're on or they're not. Alright. We gotta wait. I don't know. Like, maybe they're on, maybe they're not on. I don't know. Oh, that's my windshield wipers. Alright. Let's assume they're on and hope we don't get another ticket. And let me turn off those windshield wipers. But, like, with Pat McAfee, I'm pretty sure the reason he's saying these things is because he actually doesn't care what people are saying mean about him on the internet. But he's doing it because he knows people are going to retweet this clip and take it out of context and get upset over it. So if you can get people to be upset and outraged, and this is like a television type of thing, you can get them to talk about you, which will cause engagement, right? Because we live in the generation now where people try to get as much engagement on the internet as possible. It's a rule that they do in wrestling too. And remember, Pat McAfee works for the WWE as well. So, like, in the WWE, the way, like, a wrestler would get themselves over, or an angle that they'll get themselves over usually, would be through shock value. So you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, who hated his boss back in the Attitude Era, that gave him stunners and everything and said, F you, and put his middle fingers out. And that was shock value, right? Because it was so shocking, nobody did it at the time. So people, well, the internet wasn't really big back then, but people would talk about it, like, in the schoolyards and in the water coolers and stuff. And the word about, and because it was so shocking and controversial, it created cash and money for the WWE where the Attitude Era was fake. Like, even wrestling today, like, with AEW, they had an angle where they had, who was it again? Maria May turn on Timeless Tony Storm, and she, like, bloodied and beat up Tony Storm in a way that was very shocking, to the point people on the internet, young people in particular, were talking about it because they were like, wow, this angle went too far, and it's gory and bloody, and wow, this is women, it makes me uncomfortable. Why is it being talked about? Why? This is all done intentionally in television. Like, they will intentionally do things for shock value and to upset you and to make you outraged so that you will talk about it on the internet. You will talk about it on morning shows. You will talk about it on internet podcasts. Why? Because it generates buzz for them and it gives them free advertisement, and if people aren't talking about you, then you're just basically irrelevant. So it's the #1 rule of television. Pat did that not because he cared. He did it because he knew that it was going to cause engagement and retweets and would do exactly what he wanted. You know, dance puppets dance, right? Like, that's the thing too. Like, you know, to a certain extent, why are, you know, we're kind of going all off on different tangents here. Why are drama YouTube channels so popular? Why, in particular, will, like, VTuber sphere? Why are, like, the drama type of people so popular? Why? Because they know if they cause some type of controversy, even if it's not, like, legitimate sources, even if it's rumors, even if it's, like, very clickbaity, why do they do that thing? Because they know that if they play into controversy and they get people outraged or upset, they will get the clicks. It's all about engagement. Like, I had this conversation a while back. There's a great video on the internet if you actually care about, like, journalistic integrity and, you know what, like, older internet versus current internet practices. Look up by the name of a former journalist. She now works for Sony, if I remember correctly. Alana Pierce. She also hosted a gaming award ceremony not too long ago. Alana Pierce put out a video talking about how the internet has changed and the internet's kind of dead because it's gotten to the point where people put out garbage content, right? So they'll put out content just for engagement's sake, right? They don't care who watches it. They're just there for the clicks. So they'll put out controversial topics where people get outraged and will say, how dare this person? Or they'll put out stupid videos like a woman, you know what, basting food, right, at a restaurant with a mop. And they'll be like, it's a dirty mop, how dare they do this? Or people put out, like, these really silly TikTok type of videos. It's like, what I would tell my boyfriend if he was about to leave me, or what it looks like when I wear my makeup on. Or guys do it too. What it looks like when I lift things up and put them down and stuff. And the point that Alana was trying to make is a lot of this stuff that's on the internet is not quality content. It's not entertaining. It's not informative. It's actually garbage content. And it's only made to kind of cause engagements to happen. Even AI content, because a lot of people now are putting out, like, AI content where Frank Sinatra sings Five Nights at Freddy's. Or, you know what, they'll put Scarlett Johansson in a situation where, like, she's fighting Goku or something. And it's, like, AI stuff, you know, where it's not only infractions on copyrighted material, but, like, it's garbage content. Is kind of the point that she was trying to make. And it's gotten to the point where back in the day, people on the internet used to have meaningful conversations about opinions, right? So there was meaningful conversations that were had, like people would debate anime topics, right? People would debate movies. People would debate which video game is better than art. And you don't get those type of pieces, like, or it'd be informative, or it would have some type of educational thing, or it would be, like, interesting because it'd be somebody playing the piano, and they'd be playing piano of musical scores from stuff. There was quality to the content, which is what Alana was getting at. And nowadays, it's like people just, like, grab their phone and put out the most garbage content, and it's only done to get engagements because they know people are going to click on it, because a lot of people, unfortunately, in this day and age, have very short attention spans. So why is TikTok around? Why does TikTok do as well as it does? Why is YouTube Shorts doing as well as it does? Why? Because it's meant for people who don't have very high attention spans. They want to get the content, they want to get it in, out, and then move on to the next one, right? So, you know what? And the problem is, like, when you put out content of that sort, it's not quality. It's just, like, quantity over quality, which is what she was getting at, which is kind of the death of the internet, because there used to be times, case in point, with it, we'll bring it into the anime sphere, right? How many of you remember Nico Daga? It's probably something that maybe a lot of people don't know because they changed their name. They were responsible for the uprise of Hatsune Miku videos. Before that, there was MD and Mad videos, where you would have stuff like Seto Kaiba being turned into an instrument, where these type of videos were, like, really, truly old school brain rot videos, right? So what ended up happening with these particular videos was they were very popular on the internet, and they were very quality type of content. And people worked hard on these videos. They worked months and months and months via editing to be able to get them to. And there was some quality to be had to them. And that type of stuff, that's why people like Alana, people like myself, like the old internet was fun and entertaining and informational. And now new internet's like just kind of dumb. And like the only people that really would be kind of interested in stuff are short attention spans, which means it's kind of geared towards children or people who just don't want really thought-provoking things. I don't want to say you're stupid, but clearly it's get in, get out, and on to the next dumb things, right? So, you know, it's kind of, that's kind of the way. I think that's why now, like, some type of companies are trying to become more progressive to try to target that demographic, but they don't seem to understand that when you try to target people with short attention spans, most of the time they're not going to remember your brand. Most of the time they're not going to remember your name. And it's only a matter of time that their short attention span, they get bored of you doing these short little things, and they move on to the next one. So, like, I question the sustainability of it, right? So, like, you're here today and you're gone tomorrow, and you'll have, like, your 15 minutes of fame. Maybe your TikTok or your short goes viral, or maybe it doesn't. Or maybe you're known as a person that puts out just this type of dumb video, and you're stuck. And let's say, I don't know, 10 years down the line, you want to do something different with your life in the content creation sphere. You can't, because now you're known as the person that makes dumb TikToks or dumb YouTube shorts. And God forbid you want to do something different. And that's why I say it's not the best type of strategy to focus on. You know, but that's my 2 cents. That's my thank you for coming to my TED Talk, right? Like, that's just kind of how it is, right? You know. But, you know, it's a shame too. Like, I was talking with a friend. This is like really if we were actually driving in a car right now, right? So I was talking with a friend recently about how I still personally prefer to have physical media, right? Like, I prefer actual physical games, like to actually own the physical games. I still kind of prefer to actually own Blu-ray disc. I prefer to, like, have a movie collection where I, like, point to my shelf and be like, hey, check out my home video collection. You know, I don't like streaming services in particular. Like, I don't like to, like, if I want to watch a movie, I have to stream it on Netflix. I don't, you know, I'm the type of person, like, if I want to watch Godzilla 54 and I have it, I pull off the DVD from my shelf. Or if I want to watch Godzilla vs. Biollante, I have the Blu-ray. I pull the Blu-ray off of my shelf. If I want to watch, like, let's say for our, I don't know, Halloween season, I want to watch Friday the 13th and Halloween movies and Child's Play movies. I have a collection of these stuff on my shelf where I could just pull it off. I'm that type of dude. And it's a shame that, like, we've lost appreciation for the collection's sake, right? And now we're entering into a new territory of a generation of people where all their stuff is just going to be on the internet, and they're actually not even going to technically own the stuff that they purchased on the internet, because in reality, case in point with Ubisoft, case in point with Epic Games in particular, like a game with Fortnite, or even like free-to-play service games, right, that are live service games, one day those games are going to be taken off the internet, or the company is going to stop going. And then what ends up happening, or like, oh, this is my biggest concern, like with always online games, right? Like Diablo 4. There's going to be a day, not soon, but in the distant future, where Diablo 4 servers will eventually go offline. And you will not be able to play Diablo 4. Or Fortnite. There might be a day where Fortnite decides, yeah, we're not doing any more Fortnite. You know, player count maybe drops off or something. And all those skins that you purchased in Fortnite, you cut to the reality, you didn't purchase them, you rented them, because, you know, digital ownership is one of those things where, what if a game goes out of, you know what, or a movie, like, they no longer show it? If you don't have the physical form of it, do you really own it? No, technically you were renting it for a fee. And that's the dangerous thing now that I don't think Zoomers understand. Like, all these digital purchases, like, if those stores go out of business eventually, or they decide to phase them out, case in point, this happened recently with the Nintendo 3DS, as well as the Wii U, because the Wii U got phased out, and the Nintendo online services don't work for that. Like, if you didn't download all those games that you owned digitally, you will not actually be able to play them ever again. And that's sad, right? Like, that's really sad, you know what? So that's why I try to caution younger people and Zoomers, like, you don't want to own things digitally. You would be more inclined to want to own them physical copies, because then it forces them to actually make physical copies still. Forces them to have, like, offline play in certain games still and stuff. Because if you keep embracing everything being digital only, there's going to be a point where, a lot of people that do stuff like physical production of sources, such as Blu-ray disc, physical media, people at, like, places, stores like Best Buy, which is going through hard times, GameStops, you know what, your favorite store to buy anime from, even the mom and pop shops, right? Because mom and pop shops that sell anime DVDs, there aren't that many of them around anymore, but they do still exist. Like, you start hurting those people, because then if they can't actually get physical media because physical media is, like, phased out, those people lose jobs, those people lose their businesses, those people. And I don't think that's what Zoomers understand, like, in completely going digital, right? Like, you're gonna cost somebody their job, and you don't really understand, like, the consequences of action. Or the other thing that's going to happen too for a lot of these Zoomers, maybe some Zoomers that are not of working age yet, right? Like, let's say you're going for your first job, right? Here's just some food for thought here, right? I gotta see what I'm connecting to right now in terms of fit. Okay, so we're getting that one, right? Okay, good. So let's say you're getting your first job, right? And let's say you're looking to work at, I don't know, let's say a Best Buy, right? Oop, gotta be careful here. Let me make a sharp turn here so I don't crash the truck. Let's say your first job, you wanted to work at a Best Buy, right? Or you need to work in retail. What happens if at some point, even stuff like Dwayne Reed's, right? Where you go get, let's say you're getting your deodorant from it, or you're getting your makeup, or you're getting, I don't know, maybe you're not getting your stuff from there. Maybe you're just buying stuff on Amazon Prime, right? Let's say you want to work in a retail place. What happens if Dwayne Reed's go out of business? What happens if Walgreens go out of business? What happens if Best Buy goes out of business? What if the movie theaters stop showing movies, right? Where then it's like, no, everything's going to be shown on Netflix or a streaming service, and movie theaters go the waste of, you know, the wasteland. They go to the dinos, right? They're no longer a thing. Well, what happens to these people that are trying to get their very first job? Maybe you're a teenager looking to make a couple of bucks. What are you going to do? You can't work at Best Buy because guess what? You phased out Best Buy. What if you want to work at Dwayne Reed, maybe, right? Retail. Oh, guess what? You can't work at Dwayne Reed. You phased it out because you bought everything online. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll go work at McDonald's, or I'll go work at Burger King. Well, sport, let me tell you about what's happening in, actually, Texas right now. I don't live in Texas, but guess what? I read, because I read on the internet. I read actual news articles. They're not, like, crafted from AI. What is happening right now with McDonald's? McDonald's in Texas has recently tested out a 100% completely automated service where you go in, you order on the kiosk, your food comes out on a conveyor belt, and you never interact with a person. It did so well in Texas that McDonald's has decided that they are going to do this at various test locations going forward. So the plan by good old McDonald's is, in the future, they want their whole stores automated, where the only person that would be working is one person behind the counter and maybe one or two people that are making the food in the back, assuming that they don't find a way to have that even automated with a machine. So guess what? If you purchase everything via your kiosk, you know, where, oh, no, I'm just going to purchase on the kiosk. Oh, no, I'm just going to order an app. It tells McDonald's, well, we don't need actual physical people really to work in the store. And guess what? People are up and coming trying to work in a fast food joint, maybe for their first job. Guess what? You're not going to have a job, because guess what? Everything is done digitally, right? So what's going to happen? I don't think people really, that are younger particularly, understand or grasp the concept of what will happen to you for, like, your first jobs, right? What will happen to you if you're an artist, right? Like, here's the biggest topic, right? AI art, right? Whether you love it or hate it. I mean, I understand both sides of the argument. We had this topic the last time, ironically, I played American Truck Simulator. I guess because this game allows me to be able to kind of talk about topics and not, you know, I can focus and drive, kind of, and just chill and chat with you on this. Like, what's going to be the problem with AI art? Like, you know, whether you stand on it or not, there are a lot of companies right now that are media companies. I cannot actually name them, but there are some media companies that I know. There's some people that I've worked with that their focus is they are moving away from hiring artists to actually hire AI artists, as they call it. So there's going to be a point where now they're just going to use AI and very high AI technology to do with artists. It sucks for the artists. It does. It really does. But, like, a lot of this also has to do with the practices of people in their use of AI. Like, how did AI art really blow up, right? That's a great question. Who was the ones using AI art before even people discovered it necessarily at a company? It was streamers. It was streamers. There were streamers who went out there, younger Zoomers and stuff, who did AI art and put it out there on the internet, which then got it, like, in the limelight. And then, you know, big companies are like, oh, wait a minute, we could just do AI art and not have to, like, pay artists. And that's what's happened. That's what's happening now. That's what media companies even now are, like, looking at AI to phase out editors. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, the more you do things digitally and the more you rely on digital technologies, the less job opportunities there are going to be for people, because there won't be a need for them in various different industries. There was an interesting study that was done recently. Mama Dread actually brought this up to me. My mom actually brought this up to me. The guy who is, I believe, the CEO of OpenAI did a study, a test thing, where he gave people $1,000 to live off a month. And they basically weren't to work. And they realized that after that thing, a lot of what they did job-wise, like, A, wasn't necessary, and B, could be done with AI, and then C, on top of everything else, they actually were able to live off $1,000 to pay their rent in a month. Obviously can't do that in a major city market. I think he tested it in low market areas, low, like, not very big cities. But it kind of opens up the door to things of, like, what's going to happen in the future, right, for people. I don't know. Like, I feel we've gotten to the point with a lot of things, even streaming media, where, you know what, as we continue to move away from physical stuff, and as we continue to stop even interacting with people, like tellers and cashiers and clerks, and going into stores and even buying stuff, like simple things like deodorant, or even groceries and produce and, I don't know, tampons and, you know, condoms and you know, alcohol even, because they have now where you can buy, like, beer and stuff from Drizzly. Like, yeah, what happens now? Like, we're gonna get to a point where so many people are either gonna lose their job, so many jobs are gonna get phased out, and there's just gonna be, it's gonna be economic problems in the future. I see the writing on the wall. There's gonna be a lot of economic crisis in the not too distant future. It obviously is gonna be very dependent on what also happens necessarily in the United States, because we do have an election that's coming up. I'm not gonna go into politics. It's whatever happens in that election is also going to determine what's going to happen. Like, I don't want to get political, but obviously Biden, who stepped out, he was very, very adamant about trying to prevent AI from taking people's jobs away from him. And I don't know if Kamala Harris in particular is as adamant about that. I don't know her platform particularly very well, because obviously she's just kind of getting into things now, so I don't know what particularly her platform is, right? But I guarantee you, like, on the other side of the spectrum for Mr. Trump, like, he's probably not going to care about AI uses and how it would affect jobs, because, you know, Mr. Trump is fans of, you know, big corporations. And why are big corporations wanting to use AI right now? Because they can cut down a lot of jobs, which would make their pockets a lot heavier. So, obviously, Trump would not be in favor of limiting the use of AI, because he wants to protect his buddies on the top, right? And if you can find ways to cut down on the little guys and make more money, you're going to do it, right? From a company perspective. That's how, like, Trump thinks. I'm not trying to get political. I'm not telling you who to vote for. You know what? I'm not telling you who to and who not to. That's your decision. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. That's your decision. What you do, that's you. I'm not here. I'm just bringing it up because, like, it will be very interesting what happens from a financial perspective and from a job market perspective as to what's allowed just through the use of AI. So if there's not restrictions in AI, and if there's not even restrictions on, like, protection of, you know, digital purchases versus actually going into stores and purchasing it, we're going to have a problem. It's going to be an economic crisis, because there's going to be a lot of jobs that aren't available, and not everybody's going to be able to become, like, an AI, like, coder or an AI, like, operator. Because now that the excuse is like, oh, but can become AI. What if people don't want to work on a computer, right? There's some people who, for whatever reason, want to own, like, a mom and pop shop, right? And just sell, like, personal goods. Or maybe, like, your life, you wanted to, like, open up a, I don't know, a Blu-ray store, let's say. Maybe you want it to be, like, an old-school Blu-ray store that sold, you know, physical media and stuff. You know? Maybe that's not you. What, you're gonna go be an AI thing? Or you're gonna be a digital, like, yeah. That's not what everybody wants in life, right? You know? So, I don't know. But I think that this election, in terms of how both sides of the parties handle AI, or what their platform is, or stances on it, that's gonna be important. Because if more stuff gets phased out digitally, which is the point I'm trying to make, there's going to be less opportunities market-wise for people to actually be able to do things. And to have careers, and to have purchases, or to even have, like, starting things. Like, you know, and a lot of people are going to go out of business eventually, right? Because, like, if there's no need for Blu-rays, right? Like, production companies, like, facilities are going to, like, shut down. Like, what is a company like? I'll give you an example. There's a company called Shock Media, right? Shock Media is known for putting out Japanese products in English subtitles. So they put out a couple old Godzilla movies. They put out Ultraman stuff. They put out, like, really, really obscure Japanese English subtitle type of stuff. Their whole thing is they don't do streaming media. They do physical Blu-ray media, right? But they don't really create a lot of the times the Blu-ray production in-house per se. Like, the actual physical disc that they use to, like, burn this stuff on is created elsewhere, right? It's outsourced. So what happens if, like, again, this is just putting it into perspective for people, because I don't think people really grasp the concept of what could potentially happen in the ramifications of everything. What happens if, like, people stop buying Blu-rays, and then the companies that create Blu-rays decide there's no need for Blu-ray production, right? A company like Shock Media, Tokyo Shock Media, I think it is, or Shock Media, they won't be able to operate because they won't be able to get their Blu-ray disc. And what are they going to do? They're going to go to streaming service. Do you know how hard it would be for them to produce streaming service stuff? Most of the stuff that Shock Media produces, or Tokyo Shock Media in particular, they tend to produce things that are like very limited run type of Blu-ray disc and stuff. Okay, I'll get this into more perspective for you. What happens to a company like Limited Run Games that is known for putting out physical editions of games that are digital? Let's say people just stop buying Nintendo Switch cartridges, right? Or let's say Nintendo phases out physical disc media, or Sony, or Xbox or stuff. Limited Run Games goes out of business because they can't sell digital platform, because that's already Nintendo's market, that's already, you know, Steam's market, that's already PlayStation, Microsoft's market. They go out of business too. Like, there's long-term ramifications for just entirely abandoning physical media. And I don't think really people truly understand it, because then it's going to be a position where, you know what, I don't know. It's just, and it really comes down to, like, really what legislation particularly is going to do about these type of things. Because if they don't address it, there's going to be a big problem in the future. It might not happen in the next 8 years. It might not happen in the next 10 years. But I would say within the next 20 years, if these type of stuff isn't addressed, there's going to be a financial crisis of some nature in the United States. I don't know if even across the world, but there's going to be a time period where it's going to be rough, right? So I don't know, man. But these are the things I think of, apparently, when I'm playing American Truck Simulator. Alright, another thing that I do want to discuss with you is, because a lot of people have been asking me about various different topics in regards to me as a VTuber in the VTuber sphere. We have to make a turn here because I have to get gas. I'm actually very happy that we see a gas station here, because if not, it was going to be rough, man. I'm about to run out of fuel here. But there's a lot of topics of VTuber thing. Somebody asked me a question a while ago into regards as to why I didn't really, like, sign with any VTuber companies at the moment. And I haven't answered this, but there were some companies that approached me in not the most positive lights, particularly smaller companies, okay? So there were some smaller companies that they felt like the way to do business with me was to like a bunch of my tweets, right? And then to steal my character design of an old character I used, right? So, like, that didn't fly very well with me. There was also another company that was interested in me, and I've talked about this before. A rather relatively large company, and I turned them down because obviously I saw a lot of business practices there that implied they would be a black company, right? And by a black company, it's like a company that doesn't treat their workers very well, and on top of them not treating their workers very well. Another issue with it, is there no gas here? I can't get gas on this side. I have to go through the other way. Why? This is a gas station right here. That's really dumb, right? Like, why can't I just drive up into this one? No, I gotta drive that way. Okay, fine. Fine, that gas station's out of order. That one's out of order, that machine. That's another thing, too. We have a perfect example. This is all automated. Where's the guy that's supposed to put my gas in here, right? Even in the game. Like, I'm paid digitally in this game for my gas, which means that there's not a need for multiple people to get my gas in this gas station, right? Another problem. Another problem. At some point, maybe gas stations are going to be fully automated, where then we don't even need somebody working. I gotta back up. Maybe it's not needed then, right? Maybe you won't need a person at a gas station to, like, get the gas. You know, this is things I think about. You know, but in regards to with the topic, like, yeah, I've had some companies that were not very professional, particularly on a smaller scale, that I really didn't like the energy. Like, there's a thing with me, right? If you are interested in trying to secure me for your operation, whether you're big or small, you know, there's a certain level of decorum that kind of I expect as, you know, somebody who carries myself as a professional, right? So, like, if you're acting... What's the word I'm looking for? If you're acting in a manner that is very... not very professional, right? Where you're acting very... I don't know... arrogant, perhaps? Egotistical? If you're... you know, trying to, like, make internet fame in particular... like its actual fame, that's where I kind of get rubbed the wrong way. And that's why there were some decisions where I just literally told smaller places, keep this in mind, a flat out no, right? Like, for me as a person, like, as a VTuber and stuff, like, I look to see how talents carry themselves. I look to see how agents carry themselves. I look to see how companies carry themselves, right? So, like, if you... Like, I'll just be honest with you. In the VTuber industry, people headhunt, right? There's companies headhunt. There's companies that send people to get on people's good graces and to, like, establish friendships and lines of communication, right? Right? But, like, if you send somebody my way, right? And you try to, like, make yourself out to be, like, some super famous person, and you got, like, 3,000 subs, or you've never done, like, 10K videos like I have, when I was at my peak here on the channel, or if, like, you send somebody and they, like, think they're, like, super, like, famous in the world view, and they're not really, you will, first of all, you'll, like, upset me individually, because I will, like, not like that type of energy that you're carrying for yourself, right? Like, putting that type of energy out in front of me, like, that's a bad look for me. I don't like people like that. I never have, never will. The other thing, too, is you actually disrespect me from a professional standpoint. The reason for that is, and I've mentioned this, I have worked in television and film. I was a former journalist. I covered various different convention scenes. I had my own media site. I worked in conjunction with other people in their media sites. Like, names that I worked with, and I actually have pictures and physical proof, include, from the television side of things, I worked with Denzel Washington. Really cool dude. Down to earth. You know what? I was a production assistant on a television shoot where he came in to work for a program that I actually was a production assistant on. A very cool dude. Very, very nice. On the journalist side of things, I've worked with Seth Green, Matthew Steinrich from Robot Chicken. I have worked with the Adventure Time creator, Pendleton Ward. I have worked with, believe it or not, Macaulay Culkin at a Comic-Con. Very cool, chill dude. Like, I've worked with Mark Hamill. I have worked with... And this is all stuff where if you Google IRL me, all of this stuff is still available on the internet. All of this stuff is very well documented. I've worked with Mark Hamill. I've worked with Kevin Conroy. May he rest in peace. The late, great Kevin Conroy. A very, very great man that would do a lot for anybody. Like, I did it in the Batman stream. I said this already. So if you're, like, OG viewers, you know. But that guy is very nice. He's the type of guy that, like, he literally will record a voicemail in the Batman voice for you. He was very kind, very loving, not arrogant whatsoever, always willing to do something for a fan. These are the type of people that I worked with. So that's the type of energy that I surround myself with. That's the type of professionalism I respect. So, like, you can imagine, like, a VTuber or a VTuber company coming at me and being very arrogant and stuff. We made the delivery already? That's surprising. Time flies when you're just yapping, right? But the point that I'm trying to make is, like, if you come in with, like, energy where you think you're not better than me, because I don't think that's the right terminology to use, but if you feel like what you've done is more important in the grand scheme of things, or that you feel like you're gonna, I don't know, intimidate me, or, like, bully me in a way, or, like, try to flex on me, it can't be possible. I just gave you, and that's not even, like, a full list of resume of people. Like, Denzel Washington from the television industry. I've worked with some people that used to work for ABC News that then went to a different television station. I've worked with people who, you know what, and studied under people who worked in HBO documentary series. Like, in terms of journalism sphere, again, Seth Green, Matthew Steinrich, Pendleton Ward, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Michelle Ruff, who you might remember actually voices Rukia in Bleach, which is currently ongoing. I'm not too... I mean, say what you want about him. I interviewed him. I'm not going to give him opinions on anything. Oh my goodness. I've worked with, oh my goodness, I don't know if I should say him actually now. You know, yeah, I'll say his name. Vic Mignogna, which, say what you want about him, I'm not going to give an opinion on it. That's not my place. You know, I worked with him, I interviewed him. I've worked with Sonny Strait. I've worked at theotaku.com as a writer for theotaku.com in the very early days of theotaku.com. I had my own anime website. I had my own nerd culture website. I've done stuff with G4 TV. Yes. You know, I know people from there. What else have I done? You know, it's a very, very long resume list. I've done podcasts. I've done a lot. I've been interviewed by other people for podcasts talking about past work. So, like, the point that I'm trying to make is, like, if you come towards me in a way where you're trying to flex on me, there's no way that you can impress me. Like, because I've met a lot of famous people before that are way higher up on the food chain than, like, a VTuber from a VTuber corporation. So it's not like, and the funny thing is, some of the people that were flexing on me are like people that had very small install bases compared to some of the larger ones. And even the larger ones, like there was one or two that flexed on me. I was like, well, that's cool. I know those same companies, but it's like, I'm not easily impressed. It's not one of those things. I've done a lot of great things in my lifetime, things I'm very proud of, things that are still documented on the internet. There's pictures of me with like Danielle Harris at a Hatchet 2 premiere. So like, the point that I was trying to make, particularly with the tweet, is that, like, I didn't sign with certain places because I didn't like the energy that they put out. And I didn't like the initial approach in terms of the headhunting and the recruiting aspect of it. You know, and there was the incident. I mean, obviously, there's the thing with VShojo, right? VShojo's put up their thing, right? So they're taking VTuber applications right now, right? And you know, like for me as a talent, and this is not disrespect, like I look to see how top talents, first of all, treat their viewer base, right? The second thing I look at is how they treat their criticisms, right? And the third thing is like just how they treat other people in the sphere, right? So like there's Zentrea's comments, right? So Zentrea, I think, was in the right place because she wanted to open it up to small VTubers, right? And I think that's a great thing to do. We're going to park in here in a second. I just kind of wanted to continue to give the thoughts here while we continue to close out. But, like, Zentrea, in particular, like, gave her things and she wanted to help the little guys and everything. And that's commendable. That's, like, really, really commendable that you want to try to help smaller VTubers and stuff. And then it was met with a lot of pushback, right? So a lot of pushback happened, where there was, like, skeptical, smaller VTubers that are like, well, VShojo has a history of only hiring their friends and people on the top. And I could understand to a certain degree the smaller people's skepticism with it, right? Because it's something that's a track record. And then Zentrea tried to double down on it. It's like, no, you know what? I'm doing this for the right things and the good things, and you know what? You know what? I pushed for this really hard and stuff, and you know what? I've busted my hump to get to where I am, and people I knew that were in that position busted their hump. I understand what they were trying to say, right? Because I understand. They were coming from the thing of, like, nothing was given to me, I had to work hard for it. And I believe in that, like, when it comes to anything content creation-wise, like, and even when I was a journalist, right? Like, people didn't respect me when I started. I was that guy that worked at theotaku.com and then spinned off onto his own site. And, like, I was a publication that nobody really had heard of at the time. And then I got respected. And then people, like, you know, I got press passes and badges, and I traveled to convention, and, you know what, sat in roundtable interview. So I understand that aspect of, like, you know what, working hard and stuff and busting your hump to get. I did that before, right? I did that in a completely different industry, and I'm still, you know what, in a different industry in terms of, like, the film, television, try to pay dues. Like, Tony Todd's a great friend of mine. I worked with him during the whole press thing of, you know, Hatchet 2. Like, you know, it's stuff. So, like, I understand in a way what Zentrea was saying, but from another retrospect, as somebody just looking in, as an outsider looking in, as a person that weighs decisions with, like, places I would be interested in signing with and applying with, and just, like, the whole aspect of it all, like, then when I see some of the context of Zentrea's comments, that's where it's not really I take issue with it, but that's not a good look. Because then it raises into question, like, if every time there's going to be some type of pushback, it's the internet, right? People push back on the internet all the time on stuff, right? That's just the internet. We've been talking about that's just the internet for like 3 hours, not 3 hours, but like an hour and 14 minutes right now. The thing about it is, like, the way and the manner in which the words are delivered, you can take it into a different type of context too. So it's like if you, and the thing I've noticed, like, and this is not a dig on Zentrea, but the thing that I noticed with particularly with VShojo as a company, and this is not a dig on them, but I feel like this is something that you need to work on in terms of PR and press relations, and just like there's things you say and there's things you don't say when you're in that type of position. Like, I feel like you could say that in less and not like say things that would offend people, because then it's like you come off like in a way where you're better than people, but you don't mean to act that way. And for me personally, one of the decisions, a deciding factor in why I wasn't interested in VShojo, and this is not a dig, I think they're a great company with great talent, was just kind of the way I looked to see how you act as a talent, how you treat viewers, how you treat critics, and just how you carry yourself as a brand. And if there's like any sort, if I personally, this is me personally, right? Because I try to be 100% authentic and real with you from a human being standpoint, because you just heard my resume of stuff that I've done, right? Like, I look at that and see a little bit of arrogance and egotistical type of nature, and that's something I don't want to be part of, right? Because from a professional standpoint, I don't do that, right? Like, I might be one of the most open and honest people in this sphere. You know, like, when I tell these guys, I don't want you to be parasocial with me, I mean it, because it's just like, I don't want you to misunderstand our relationship as a streamer or viewer, right? And the other thing is, like, too, like, I've always talked about this, right? Like, when's the last time I ever asked these guys for anything in terms of money on the site? In terms of money on the channel, right? I never have. I don't have a Patreon. I've been doing this for 4 years. We have videos that have like 10k viewers, right? Am I parking this? Yeah, I'm parking this in. Okay. Like, I've never asked for a dime. I don't have a buy me a coffee. I don't have a what is it? A Patreon. I don't have a throne. I don't do any of that stuff, right? The reason why I don't do any of that stuff is because I feel like you're here as a viewer, right? You're already here watching, if you're watching on YouTube, my content. You're clicking like, you're interacting, you come back, you're a repeated viewer. That stuff that you do for me, which you probably don't realize this, builds towards me getting partnership, right? So, like, where I can run ads, like, for YouTube and stuff. So for me, I feel like already just your viewership, just you watching, just you interacting, you're already paying indirectly for me to be able to do this stuff, right? And for me to, you know, be able to monetize. Like, look at Twitch, right? On Twitch, we're... this is such a tight way to get in here. We might screw this up and damage the truck. But, like, look at Twitch. On Twitch, I'm an affiliate on Twitch. I have monetization options. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this without... Oh my god. These camera angles are terrifying. This is more scary than Terrifier 2 for me, guys. Or Terrifier 1. Alright. Let's go. I'm not trying to turn that way. But, like, the point that I'm trying to make is I never asked for any of that stuff. Because I feel like that's, like, if I ask for Patreon stuff and stuff, that's a disservice to you. You're here to watch. And your viewership is what matters to me, not that, like, I need money to buy this, or I need money to do this. And I'm not knocking people that do it, but... You know, there's practices that I've seen from companies where the talents do that. And that's not what I'm about, too. So, you know, like, when I don't sign with something, I look at various different things all the time. I look to see how talents carry themselves, I look to see... But I've never asked for any of that stuff. I don't do thrones, I don't do Patreons, I don't do buy me a coffees, none of that stuff. You're not here for that. I don't expect you guys to do that. I don't want you guys to do that. You're here to hang out. You're here to interact. You're here to chill. You're here because you like to be here. And I appreciate that you're here. And that's enough payment for me in that retrospect. Like, and YouTube. Like, YouTube will eventually see, like, hey, you guys, you got the watch hours. Which we're getting close to the watch hours now, guys. We're very, very close, actually. We're about... I'm trying not to crash this trailer. We're about, right now... about a half... Not 2/3 of the way, but 2 1/4 of the way. Are they really gonna expect me to drive down that way? Oh my god. Are you for real, bro? I had to, like, drive in to drive out. There's no way I could make that turn. No way I could make that turn. Not unless I have a death wish, right? This is, like, the most stressful part of driving this, right? Just trying to get out of here. Alright, but yeah, like I was saying, though, you know what? So that's why I don't do stuff like coffees and thrones and stuff. But, like, perception to me is a lot. Like, so that's why, like, when I see other VTubers do it, when I see it from big companies in particular, it kind of bars me a little bit. It's like, don't do that. I can't take another job offer because I already have one here. Alright. But, like, yeah, that type of stuff bars me. But I look at things. I look at small companies and what they're doing, how towns care. I look at the big ones. I look at more of the big ones than I do the little ones. And, you know, so there's a reason. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, why didn't you sign with the smaller company? You were kind of good friends with them. It just wasn't... Not my end goal, right? It wasn't a good fit. And again, like, there's a way to approach me and there's a way to not approach me. And, like, if you come in with, like, an arrogance to you or egotistical, where I'm looking at you as a company and I see a lot of that present at your company, like, I'm gonna assume that it's a toxic workplace, right? And as somebody who's already been to places like that, I don't want to do that, right? And that's kind of really what it goes down to, right? Like, another topic that people come constantly is, like, why am I gonna play Diablo 4? Because I know, like, a majority of my content was Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 related. I'm on break from Diablo 4. I've said this for a while now. I've said this on social media, and I've said it on... I think I've said it even in videos prior to this one, right? Like, the reason why I am not playing Diablo 4 right now is because I already did the season. And I'm not interested in playing more of the season. I'm waiting for the expansion. The expansion officially drops in October, right? So, in October, maybe we'll check out the expansion, and I'll play more Diablo 4 then. Until then, like, content-wise, like, I don't feel a need to play more Diablo 4. Because I've already made all the classes, and I've kind of endgamed all the classes. So, realistically, anything that I do in Diablo 4... content-wise in particular is just me redoing the same thing. So I was like, well, we'll just wait for the Spiritborn to come out in the expansion. We'll do the Spiritborn, and we'll probably do, like, a season of the Spiritborn. I'm assuming the season will come out. We'll get the gas since it's already on our way here. Even though it's not going to be a lot of gas that we have to get, but we must get it, right? So, like, you know, that's the reason I'm not playing. I'm waiting for the expansion in October. On top of that, I've said this before. I can't, as a channel, play the same game 24/7 because, A... I'd get miserable doing it, right? Because I have friends that do it. Everybody knows Yerv, right? People I've seen that I've played with Yerv when I was on Twitch. A lot on Twitch we played with Yerv on the channel. On top of that, we also played with Tabor Hill from Fortnite. People know Tabor Hill, good friend of mine. You know what? I hope he's doing very well. I haven't had time to re-talk to him. I hope his daughter Ellie is doing very well as well. You know what? But a great dude. Like, you know, on my Twitch days, like, you know, we just kind of... We like to play different games. Like, my friend Yerv is a little bit burnt out on Dead by Daylight. He's a Dead by Daylight content creator, right? So he played Dead by Daylight, like, all the time, right? Because that's what made his channel popular. That's what he was known for and stuff. And, you know, even him, after a while, kind of got burnt out when he wanted to play our games. And it got to a point where he, you know, our people, like, stopped tuning in because of his stuff because they don't realize that content creators can't do the same thing all the time. You get bored, you get tired, you get burnt out playing the same game all the time. Just, like, it's not fun after a while. Like you've seen, I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and I even told you in yesterday's stream. Like, we'll take a break, and we won't play it as often or frequently because we need a little downtime because we played a lot of it and we went hard and we made the decks and we had some fun, but it got to a point where we've played a lot to the point where it's time to just kind of rest and relax on our laurels there. So I like trying out new games. I like revisiting old games, like, you know, so that's why we don't have Diablo games on. I will play probably a Diablo 3. I'm thinking probably next week, where I just do a little bit of grinding, just because I'm kind of in the mood to play a little bit. But like for Diablo 4, we're waiting, because everything else is kind of a retread. I could do Diablo 2, but it's a retread too. You know, I don't feel like doing ladders anymore, because after you do the characters so many times, I'd rather like have a fresh gaming experience, as opposed to the same experience that I've been playing. I mean, you get my drift. Like, I'm craving new experiences, so that's why we're just like testing the waters. This is the same thing with Fortnite. People ask me all the time if I'd play Fortnite. Fortnite in October. Because Fortnite in October is going to have the Fortnite Mirrors Fest. And I always come back for the Halloween event. Because I like the Halloween event. I like the skins that I put out. I like that. That's the time. I come back for Halloween, I come back for Christmas, and then I like disappear for a while. Fall Guys, I might play a little bit of it because I just kind of want to see how it is in terms of just like the game, because I heard the game isn't as good as it used to be, so it made me interested, right? So there's that. You know, but the other thing too is like, you know, variety channel, so we play things. Paladins, you're gonna see more Paladins, because I enjoyed Paladins, and I have enough market research that shows that you guys did enjoy me playing MOBA. Maybe we'll play Overwatch too. I mean, I'm not a fan of Overwatch 2, but I mean, if these guys like Paladins, it would give me a reason to try Overwatch. There's a stoplight coming by, that's why. So, you know, that's how I look at things here. You know, I also listen to suggestions sometimes, right? Like, I know a lot of you wanted me to play Content Warning, right? And you also wanted me to play Lethal Company. But here's the thing with both those games. First of all, I thought both those games were going to be a fad on the internet, where people are just going to play them for like a week or two, and then they were going to like drop off, like what happens with a lot of video games where popular creators play it in the beginning, and then they're not loyal, they're just jumping on the trend, and then they'll drop off. What happened? Lethal Company, in particular, and Content Warning, both have dropped off significantly in their player base. So it's like, I knew it was just a fad. The other thing with it too is like, those are games that are fun to play with people. Those are games where if you like are paired with randoms, it's not going to be a very fun experience for you. You know? Just because it's like randoms on games, we see whenever I play on SOS for Monster Hunter World, or when I've done Monster Hunter Rise. You know, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes you get really cool people. Some people will tell you, like, they'll put a curse on you and your family, and you know what? Your dog and the wife and kids that I don't have. And you're just like, wow, that's why I try to don't like to play with randoms, right? Not always, you know what? And that's what would probably happen with Lethal Warning and Content Warning. On top of that, like, if I don't know the person and they're on a mic, which you need to do Lethal Company and Content Warning, it's bad. Like, I won't do that. You know, it's different with Phasmophobia, right? Like, people have asked me, will I play Phasmophobia all the time? Yeah. It's a possibility. Like, I had originally bought it on Steam a while back because I heard it had an offline mode, right? And then when I tried to play the offline mode, it was broken and didn't work. So I refunded the game, and I was like, I'll wait for it to go on sale again. And I still haven't bought it. And it was on a sale recently, and I was like, I can't spend money on that right now, right? And then, like, maybe, I don't know, we'll see in the winter. Like, there's a Steam winter sale. I also, like, if I can get something dirt cheap on Steam, I will. And if it's not dirt cheap, or if I can't, like, I pick up some stuff, like, for crazy dirt cheap. But that's kind of how it is. Like, so Phasmophobia, yeah, I'm open to it. But again, Phasmophobia, I can play it solo. I don't need people to play it with. Although it's better with friends. Dead by Daylight, I don't technically need, with bot mode, to be able to play with people. I could just play with friends and avoid randoms that way. So that's why I look at games like that. And then when you look at like something like Content Warning Lethal Company, I can't do that. Not successfully, so that's why I don't play that stuff. Like, people ask me why I don't play Sukiya more of it. I'm not... Oh, that could have been bad for us. I'm not really a puzzle gamer type of guy. Like, my favorite type of puzzle game is an old one called Wario's Woods. For... I think it came out on the NES towards the very end of the NES life cycle. And it also came out for the Super Nintendo. I played it and beat it on the NES version, like a telltale end of NES. So that's the only puzzle game I could ever get into because it felt more like an action puzzle type of game than it did thing. Like, I did play a new Monster Hunter puzzle game. It was pretty fun. I wanted to actually play it on stream, but the problem is it's not part of the Google Play desktop version beta. It's not a compatible game. That's the only reason I didn't play it. If not, we would have played that on the channel there. So I'm looking, into that. Now, people ask me about League of Legends. I don't know if I want to put myself through that, because I know how toxic League of Legends is. And the thing about League of Legends is I would play League of Legends if I had somebody to play with. And the person that was going to play with me that would just kind of don't really talk much, if at all. And the other thing is, like, I didn't have anybody that's willing to do it. And, like, I have to learn mouse and keyboard to play that game. Because I like to play on controller. I know you can play Dota 2 on controller. So I would probably be open to doing Dota 2. But again, it's like, who am I going to play Dota 2 with? Like, the people I know who play it, there's red tape. They can't play with me yet. And they can't, like, I'd love for one particular person to, like, teach me Dota 2 and League of Legends, but that can happen. It just, that's just, it's not possible for a wide variety of reasons. But I would love that. I'd be like, yeah, if I could learn Dota 2 or League of Legends from you, I would teach you Diablo 4 in exchange, or I would teach you Monster Hunter in exchange. But, there's red tape, right? There's red tape all around. So, I've looked into that type of stuff because I know Fortnite eventually again. Apex Legends, I don't like those type of games. I don't like first-person battle royale games, which is funny because I just played a MOBA game by the name of Paladins, where it was completely different from that, alright? So, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Overwatch 2. There's a possibility we'll maybe do something in the future with that. Dota 2, open to it if I can grab people that I trust. Content warning, no. Lethal Company, no. Somebody asked me Don't Starve together. I have actually Don't Starve that was gifted to me, the original one, and I just don't like it as a survival game. Minecraft I've played a little bit of. I mean, I have it, I'm just not very good at it, and I don't really enjoy it, because I feel like it takes a lot longer, and I feel like I have to prep a lot offline to play Minecraft, to be able to make it watchable on stream. Somebody asked me about Power Wash Simulator. I missed the sale. I would have picked it up on the simulator sale. I missed it. It is something on my radar, because it looks kind of fun. Supermarket Simulator? No, I won't do that. I didn't do that. If I want to just go work at a supermarket, I'll be honest with you. I don't see the appeal of doing that. What other games come up quite a bit? Let's see. Aliens Fireteam Elite, surprisingly. I have played it. The game's online scene is dead, that's why I don't play it anymore. Another thing that comes up, Pokemon. You'll see more Pokemon. I'm still prepping VGC teams. I haven't had the time. Like, I know it doesn't seem like it to a lot of you, because it's like, how's a guy who's streaming a game and talking to us and, putting out content on a weekly basis, how does he not have time to play this game? Just play the game, asshole, right? It's not that easy, man. Like, I've explained this before. When I used to do the YouTube guides, like for Diablo 3 guides, it took me 70 hours of prep time to be able to make one of those guides. And I put out sometimes 5 or 7 of those guides at a time. So could you imagine the amount of stress and work and content and prepping and stuff you had to do for that stuff? It's a lot. Like, even for American Truck Simulator, this stream that we're doing here, I spent 3 hours getting the controller to work correctly off the stream. I spent hours fixing up my truck, hours getting more money so that I could, like, if something bad happened on stream, where we ran into, like, a big 5-car car pileup, or if we had, had an accident, or something swerved in, or I hit a lot of traffic violation, that I would have the money to do that. So that took up time. I was prepping that a couple days back. The Paladin stream, I prepped Paladins off of it. The Yu-Gi-Oh streams, these guys don't know how much I practice for that stuff. You don't know how much time I build decks off of, and then practicing and practicing and practicing. Content creation takes a very long time to do. It's very time consuming. It's time consuming to put out the stream, to upload the stream. If I do it live, I have to do it live. If I do recorded stuff, there are times where if the take is not the take that I want, just like how it would be in film and television, I don't do it. There's a Dragon Maid episode you didn't see this week because I recorded for 2 hours and I didn't think it was entertaining to watch. I was like, I'm not putting these guys through that because you won't be interested and you tune out. So I did the Dark Magician episode, which was a little bit better, a little bit worse, and stuff. Like, I have a system of stuff, but it's time consuming. So, like, when somebody says why I didn't just play this game, I really didn't have the time. And, you know, I have to eat. Do you guys know that when I put out content here, do you know the time I stop? Like, if I'm lucky, content-wise, I stop at, like, 11 o'clock at night if I'm lucky. There were sometimes I was stopping at 12 o'clock at night to have dinner. I'm eating dinner at, like, 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, guys. To then get up early to do social media tour and then do these things. People don't understand. It is very time-consuming being a content creator. It's very time-consuming being a VTuber. And then, I just kind of shed light on stuff. These guys, like, some of you don't have to deal with corporations. Some of you haven't been headhunted. Some of you haven't, like, had dialogues with I deal with that stuff, too. And it's stressful. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I'll be honest with all of you here. I would just like to be signed at this point and not have to deal with, like, a lot of nonsense. And it's not like me nonsense, but it's like stress, right? Like, I get put under a lot of stress because it's like, go here. Go here. No, not go here. Apply here. No. Audition here. No, you know. It's stressful, man. And then when you have people that are like, just approach you the wrong way, it adds to that stress. So I think the moral of the story I'm telling you is don't be a VTuber first of all, and don't be a content creator. No, that's not it. Like, if you're interested in doing it, the only advice I could give you is go ahead and do it, right? Like, learn to talk. Learn to talk if there's nobody here. Learn to talk if there's, you know what, if you're afraid to talk. Don't be afraid if you trip on your words. You keep trucking on, right? We're playing a truck game. Find games you like to stream. Don't stream everything that people like to stream because there's oversaturation. That is something that does happen. Be a good person. Be nice. Like, social media use. Like, don't be a dick online, right? Like, you know? And the other thing that, it's something that I see even big people do, right? Like, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Like, and this applies to everybody that watches me. And this applies to people that I know that are friends of mine. And probably people that I don't even know that are, like, fans of me. Or viewers, or, like, are interested. I'm not saying romantically, I'm just saying interested in getting to know Ryuji Dread. Like, sometimes you just gotta put yourself out there and, like, talk to people. Like, I know there's people that are like, I can't talk to that guy, he's got this many views, or I can't talk to this guy, he does these games and plays at high competitive level, and, like, have we crashed your truck? Like, I have an insane amount of focus where I can multitask and do this and not, like, mess up. But that's my skill set, right? Like, I can do this type of stuff easily, but I have 4 years practice doing this too, right? But, like, people that ask me, it's like, you know what, they find me intimidating, some people, because they're like, man, you know, I can't talk to you, you got this many viewership, and you got this subscriber, and you're very extroverted, and, like, you just game a lot and stuff. I don't care if you're good at games. I'll just play right now. I don't care. I don't judge people on whether you're good at video games or not. I don't judge people if you have 1 viewer or if you have, like, 1 million viewers. I judge people on how cool of a person you are, how likable you are, how warm you are of a personality. So if you're a warm type of person, warm, caring type of person, if you're a person that's just down to earth, usually we'll get along, which I think is the moral of most of the stream, because there's some people that just kind of came off arrogant, and that's not, like, my personality doesn't work with those types. Like, it just won't work. That's why there's a point in the tweet, and then people, like, last week's tweet, and then took it out of context quite a bit, you know? And, like, the fight, like, I don't judge people on merit. Like, if somebody talks to me, and, like, I will say hello, I will, you know, people ask me questions, I answer them. We always answer them when we're in stream or in the FAQs on Twitter. Once we get this delivery done, which is an hour, not a physical hour, like, the hour in game is probably, like, 20 minutes. we will be wrapping for the day because we got a lot of truck deliveries. It's unfortunate, like I told you guys, funny story, when I hit record, I didn't hit record, and then I was streaming. At least in my mind, I was apparently streaming for a whole 45 minutes. And we'd never hit record. And I usually check for record. So, you know, even people who are very, very well versed in this that have been doing it 4 years can be a potato brain dum-dum, right? That's just how it is. But like people who approach me, like, anybody can approach me. And so, it's fine too, because there's like some people that I think sometimes think that I don't like them. I don't mean that romantically. Because that's the thing, like, some people I think sometimes think I dislike them, or like because they're not a god gamer, or like I guess they don't carry themselves like the way I do, or maybe my resume scares them, that like I would judge them, and that's not true. Like, you know, a question I get asked a lot is like, what is it, Ryuji Dread usually, do you care about people? Like, that's a hard question to answer, right? Because it's like, what are you asking me? Do I care about people romantically? Do I care about people as human beings? Do I care about people, like, specifically people? You know, so it's like, it's a hard question to answer, right? Like, I mean, I care about human beings in general, right? So, like, if there's a human being that's in the street and is in some sort of distress, a fun story that I can tell you, you know, I had my friend Yuri and Will, and we were on our way to go to Times Square, right? We were gonna hang out, and we were gonna meet up with friends, and we, you know, the Virgin Megastore used to be there. And we ran into a guy that was collapsed at a phone booth that had a business suit on. So we didn't think that the guy was, like, a homeless person, right? And even if he was a homeless person, like, Yuri works in the medical field, or was in... Oh no, we missed our exit. It's okay. It's okay. It's gonna take me an hour to get back there. Oh, that hurts. Alright, we can't drive back. We'll crush the car. We can't. We're on the highway, so we missed our exit. It's kind of like real life. That's what I did. But Yuri and Will, we were going, and the guy was in a suit on a phone booth. It was like a phone booth, I think. Like, before they ripped them out, right? So what ended up happening was we were concerned. Because the guy didn't look like he was, like, drunk or anything. So we went and got a cop. And the cop came and helped them out. There was another time we saw somebody on the street and they looked like they were having a hard time. Like, somebody had a rough drinking night, right? We helped them up and tried to at least get them to get to the train station. You know what? Or get close to a hospital one time. You know, this is the stuff we do. As a good person. So yeah, I care about people in that respect. Human being, you don't have disregard for human life. Like, do I care about people that I know personally? That's a tough one. Like, I mean, there's people that I care about that are friends of mine, right? Like, I wouldn't want friends of mine to be, you know what, in pain or in suffering. Or if I seen somebody that I maybe used to be friends with, I'm not friends with, I might be nice to them. Or try to, like, help and cheer them out, because I'm not a dick. I'm not an asshole. And, you know, I believe that everybody has human moments. And they make mistakes. And they're not the best. You know, nobody's perfect, right? I'm not perfect. Fuck no, I'm not perfect. That would be wrong to say that I'm perfect. You know, so, like, those people, you know what? Like, I care in the sense, like, I won't want to see bad stuff happen to them. Like, you know, there's content creators that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I would wish, like, that their channel start kaplunking, or, you know, things like, I'm not that type of individual. That's a bad karma thing. Like, do I care about, I mean, are there people that obviously I stick my neck out for more than I will other people? Yeah, that's not a lie. Yeah, I mean, there's one person, yeah, definitely, okay, maybe a little bit higher up on my, like, care list, I guess. So, like, if I see them in distress, or I see them in trouble, or if I see, like, they need, like, how do I put this? Like, if I see, like, they need some type of motivation, or they're having a rough day, like, obviously, that person probably is going to get priority for me. Just because I would assume that probably if it was a similar situation, they would probably have done the same for me. And, like, there's some people who have, like, there's some people who are really nice to me, where I was category general, that didn't have to be. So that person was literally the first of those people. So obviously, yeah, like, on the care list, they were a little bit higher up because they showed an act of kindness that I didn't really experience in the VTuber sphere. So yeah, that person, I will always have their back 100%. I can't name the person, I'm sorry. I can't do that. But that person always has, I always have that person's back. Like, that's like, that's non-negotiable. That's just, like, that's decided at this point. You know what? And, you know, so yeah, there, but, like, romantically care about anybody? I don't know. Like, I couldn't answer that for you. I mean, I'm a content creator, like, I don't know. Hey, if there's a suitor, you are more than welcome to try. I guess that's the way I'll put it. But, like, I don't know. Right? 50 minutes on this. We have to turn and drive around here. Alright, how many times have we missed our turn? You know? But there's that, right? So, like, you know, another thing, too. But, like, there's always questions, too. Like, one that comes up a lot is, like, who's the better gamer between you and insert content creator name? I'm not gonna, like, realistically speaking, I would never go into those type of conversational debates, right? Like, it would be arrogant of me, first of all, to say, oh, well, I'd win hands down because I have the better gamer background and stuff, and I just play things at a higher level, right? That's just arrogant. I don't do that shit. And, like, the other thing is, like, I'd be disrespecting a colleague. Even though they're not technically a colleague, but, like, so I don't do those, like, type of situations, like, you know, can I use this as an example? Like, alright, I can't get myself in trouble for this, I don't think. God help me. But, like, one of the questions that comes up is, like, who's a better gamer between me and Koseki Biju? Well, I think it's just rude to kind of, first of all, pit ourselves against each other, right? Because, like, we cannot miss this exit again. We are backing up. I am gonna crash this trailer if I have to. We are not doing this. We are gonna get we missed our exit again. We are literally burning gas here. Okay, we don't have no choice. I can't crash the car because that would be a bad driver. But yeah, Koseki Biju versus me. Who's the better gamer? Like, am I really gonna answer that? Like, I'll just flip the wait. We gotta drive for 5 hours again? Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. We don't have the gas for that. What time is it? Hold up. I think we're gonna abandon that quest. I might have messed up for the end of the stream by talking about nonsense. I'm gonna try to drive back and see. But I'm thinking mission failed for that. If I'm reading this correctly, 5 hours and 40 minutes? Hold on. I got an idea. It's reckless, right? I don't know if we could do this. It's reckless. I'm not recommending we do this. Don't do this if you're me. Don't ever do this in real life, right? I have an idea. Yes, you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to drive over this exit, but the stupid trailer. I gotta get the trailer play with me here. If we can get it like that. I don't want to detach the trailer. Son of a biscuit. Okay. Don't panic, guys. Don't panic. I have an idea. I don't know if it's gonna work. Okay. Let me cook. We might be able to salvage this. If I can get the trailer to turn. Alright, we're gaming. I don't know. I don't know if we still miss our exit. I don't know. Can we drive back this way? I am driving on the wrong side of the road. But I think we... Oh, we got it! That's using your brain. Just break the law in cars, apparently. Don't ever do this in real life. You should never do what I just did in real life. Ever in driving. That was just me using gamer logic. Well, maybe if we drive here and there's no traffic here, maybe. But yeah, like, getting back to the whole gamer thing, like, I would never pit myself against Koseki Biju. They are a great gamer. They are incredibly skilled. They know about iframes. They are the type of person that's very similar to myself in the sense that they see games differently. So they study patterns and learn patterns quickly. Bieber's the type where if you give her 2 days of prep time, she will be able to master any game that she's interested in. I'm very similar to that, right? You know, and like at Hollow, there's so many really good gamers, like Kyla in particular too. Kyla, like, there's a reason why Kyla is a fan of Koseki, and they do so many Grindstone collabs, because, you know, they're gamers in the same thing. Like, they're very great gamers. Like, I respect them. So, like pitting me, like, question-wise, pitting me against people like that's no, man. But no, I respect everybody's game, right? I would never do that. I would never, as like, I'm better than this person, or I'm not better than, you know, I don't do that. I don't like that. I don't like those conversations. I try not to entertain them. Because it's like, first of all, when you ask questions like that, it's like, the thing I never understand with the VTuber sphere too, is like, us versus them mentality. So like, people like, indie VTubers will always be like, I cannot be friends, or I cannot support corporate VTubers because, you know what, they can't talk and interact with me, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure somebody saw the Twitter tirade that person had, which I think is a terrible take to begin with. And the thing is, I don't like that. It happens a lot in the VTuber sphere, where it's like indies will try to attack corpos for being, like, successful at what they do, right? And I don't... So then, like, when people ask these questions, viewership-wise, it's like, why pit me against a corporate VTuber when, A, I have nothing but love for every VTuber that I encounter. I have nothing but respect for various VTubers. Like, if I'm watching them and I interact with them, you know that you have earned my respect. I don't need you to acknowledge that. I, like, you know, so, like, I don't... That was a traffic violation, I'll take that. That was all on me not paying attention to a red light. But, like, yeah, so I don't understand things like that. Like, I wish, in terms of the community, like, I wish people would stop entertaining those type of ideas and just doing away with us versus them mentality. Because it's not... First of all, VTubing's for everybody. There's different levels to it. And, like, just... It's not a very healthy dialogue to have. I think that's, like, where I'll leave it at. So, like, try to... Personally, if you ever ask me questions like that, I won't necessarily answer, because I'm always just going to uplift the person you're pitting me against, because I don't like to be pitted against other people, because I don't view VTubing, even from a corporate scale, as it's a competition. We're all doing something. We're all trying to accomplish a goal. We're all trying to entertain people, and we're all trying to give people escapism from the stress of everyday life. So, like, for me, it's like we're all doing that. So I don't feel like we should be competing. And if you're competing, maybe you're focused on this industry and just doing this for the wrong reasons. Because that's like a very bad mentality to have in life. Like, I know it's an American mentality for like business and stuff, but it long term in your life, it's going to be bad for you. Because you're going to be surrounded by a lack of friends. You're going to be surrounded by people that will try to cutthroat you for a job, which I don't think is a good type of thing to do as a human being. And it just breeds toxicity in the community, in their environment, and just for yourself as an individual. And I think that's where I'll leave that thought for, because we do definitely have to wrap up stream here for the day. It's fun conversations, though. Very fun conversations. Let's just park it there. We didn't really crash the truck. Let me not, like, screw up here, and that's what we do to close stream. Because I noticed the trailer is having a little bit of problem here. Let's just play it safe there. Alright. How much money did we make today? We got paid. Continue. We made 82,000, and we started the day with quite a bit of money. And we got all the gigs done too, so that's a plus, right? Alright, guys. That was, that be trucking. Unfortunately, because I have my trucker hat on and the glasses, I cannot put my wings on. But we'll go back into just chatting anyway, so I can go over the remainder of this week's stream for y'all. Alright, so Tuesday we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. That was the Dark Magician deck, which had interesting results. Today we played American Truck Simulator. Just chatting it up on the open road. Hope you enjoyed being my passenger on this ride. It was fun. We'll do more, because I know people really enjoy when I do this type of content and driving around and just, you know, shooting the shot, shooting the shit. I don't remember how the expression goes. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Then on Friday, for our movie watch-along at 8 p.m., we'll be watching Terrifier 2. I've never seen the movie before, so it's going to be an interesting experience. It's way, way more gory than the last one. As a reminder, with all movie watch-alongs, you must have the movie queued up on your end. I cannot legally stream the movie. I can only stream my reactions. It's available on various different platforms to rent and stream. I think Peacock, it's available to watch if you have a Peacock subscription. So, obviously, do your research, and obviously I put out tweets ahead of time as to where you can... Saturday stream, unfortunately, I will have to cancel it for this week, because like I said, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel stream, originally the one I recorded, didn't really pan out well. It wasn't a very enjoyable viewing experience, so I had to re-record, and I was not able to do the Saturday morning stream. I'm gonna try to get something out to you, whether it's a short, or maybe the salvageable parts of the Dragon Maid deck on Saturday, but I can't promise that. I will do my best to try to make it up to you next week, obviously, because, you know, sometimes even in a controlled live environment, it's a live environment, and you never know, like, with the matches where you can get, but I know that was going to be very entertaining for you, and I didn't have a lot of fun time. I didn't think it was my best level of work, so that's why I kind of just nixed that. So there will not be a Saturday morning stream, unfortunately, this week. My apologies. We'll try to do Fall Guys the following one, alright? So, I hope you understand there. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I had a fun time playing American Truck Simulator. Thank you to all our chatters, lurkers, viewers. I greatly appreciate it. And most importantly, I appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Jumping into SOS, so always will be a fun experience.